What's up everyone, I'm BusyLess and welcome to the world of music production, sound design, Ableton Live and all things related. Today I have a really important topic to cover, referencing your track in Ableton Live for mixing or mastering. And at the end of this video I'm going to share with you a really quick and simple and effective way how to set up your mastering workflow inside Ableton Live. And I'll also share with you 2 really cool hacks to make it even easier and better, so stay with me till the end. But first, let me ask you a question. Have you ever cheated on an exam? I'm sure most of us probably have at some point. So referencing is kind of like cheating, but in a good way. It is a process of comparing your own track to another professionally mixed and mastered track, and it's actually legal. I'll say more. You actually should be doing that with every mix and every master you do. But why would you need referencing at all? Let me give you an example. You might be mixing your song and thinking to yourself, well, that sounds really great, the bass is so powerful, the highs are pinching my ears, everything sounds just perfect. But then you export the song and you listen to another songs in the same genre and it doesn't sound anything like this. I know what I'm talking about, I've been there many times. So basically referencing is actually the same process to compare your song to another professionally mixed or mastered song, but before you hit the export. So you still have a chance to tweak a little bit of the mids and lows and highs just to make it sound as good as possible. And also referencing is really important just to ensure that your track is playable on multiple systems like really cheap Bluetooth speakers, some crappy earphones, your phone speaker, then going to the club, your really sweet hi-fi system at home or really high-end headphones or in the car. So basically your track has to be perfect everywhere. But by comparing our track to another professionally mixed or mastered track, we can identify the areas that need a little bit of an improvement. So whether that be lows, mids or highs or wideness of the sound. And if you want some quick tips on how to find your best or ideal reference track and where to get it from, I'll be making video all about this. But not to leave you empty-handed, I'm gonna say it quickly. The same genre, same energy, WAV file or something uncompressed, and then you probably want to buy it somewhere that you're able to download it later and save it on your hard drive, whether that be Bandcamp or Apple Music or whatever you prefer. But before we start referencing our track inside Ableton Live, we need to address an elephant in the room. And the elephant is called perceived loudness. I know, which is a really weird name for an elephant, but by our human nature, we will for sure pay more attention to the louder sound like a roaring lion than to a quiet meowing cat. That feature is actually hardwired into our brains, and that helped us survive for thousands of years, identifying some dangers that are creeping from around the corner. So in the world of music, the louder the song is, it's probably going to be more interesting to us, but just because it is louder, not necessarily sounds better. So when we are referencing our song to another professionally mixed or mastered song, we want to make sure to gain match the reference song to our song, usually not the other way around. And I'm going to show you that everything in just a minute. Finally, we will be focusing on a very simple yet effective way how to reference your song inside Ableton Live. So, well, let's go. So let's say you've done some mixing already, you EQ'd here, you did some compression as well, and you have quite a few effects on your master channel. And now you will want to delete everything and start over again. Just kidding, don't delete anything. I got your back. So the simple thing on how to compare your song, let's put a little bit of the verse here, just a couple seconds. This is what we will be working with today. So the simple things, how to start everything. First, we want to create an audio track. So let's go down to the bottom here, underneath our Windmaker and create audio track. So we have our audio track already here, and first thing we want to do is actually go to the settings before we drop any tracks into our reference track. So we go here to settings, and what we see here, we'll go to the record, warp and launch, and there is that little function auto warp long samples. We want to make sure this is off. That is very important because otherwise your reference track will get kind of squeezed to the BPM of your track and it's not going to sound the same. So this is really important to switch it off. It's okay for the short samples like snares or percussion anyway, but it's not good for a reference track or long songs if you want to use them in your arrangement view. So if we have this one switched off, let's go back and let's find our reference track. I have a little folder here with my mastering workshop I will use my own song not to get copyright strike from YouTube. And this one is called Seaside Memories. I'm almost finished making it, so it will be released soon. What we want to make sure is to align the drops. We can see by the waveform that this looks like a drop here, and we have our final drop here. We have it looped, so we will be listening to it over and over again. Okay, so let's zoom in it a little bit, and we can kind of align this so it roughly matches the final drop. And of course, we can start from here. So now, if we play this music now, we will hear both of the tracks together, and we really don't want that because that's gonna sound pretty awful and messy and might trigger our limiters. I hope you have a limiter at the end of a master. That's the thing that you actually should have. So now we will switch it off. So when we switch off, we will still hear only our own track drop. But now, how can we compare that? So we want to open this little option here. This one says where the audio is going to. So this audio is going to go to the master. It's going to be processed through all of these plugins, and at the end it's going to sound nothing like the reference song should sound like. So we want to change that to external output. So instead of going through the mastering channel, master chain, it will go directly to your audio interface without any effects or anything, unless you're going to put something here. We have a limiter as a safety measure, of course. And now, if we want to play them one after another, so we want to solo that song. So if you press solo here, we play. We hear only the new song. Let's start from the drop. You see, that's already much louder than our own track. Let's compare that quickly. That's a huge difference. We're gonna be working on that a little bit later. So first, if we want to quickly switch between this song and our song, we can assign a keystroke to it. So we press this key button here. We don't need that actually. Press key, and then we will press this S button. That's a solo, so we'll solo our track. And let's assign number 1, let's say. Okay, so then we see number 1 is our solo for that track. Then whenever we listen to, we can quickly switch between these two. Okay, that's working fine. What's the next step? As I mentioned, this song is really loud and we want to make sure it's not as loud. So we can use a utility to that. So let's look for utility. It will be here in Audio Effects, Utilities, Utility, or you can just find it by using Control F or Command F. And now we will be matching the gain of it, but in order to see that a little bit better, we can go to this view here and go here till the end, and we can see the Seaside Memories. At the side, we have the master. So let's adjust the gain a little bit down for sure. I don't know, minus like 6 decibels. That might be quite similar, or these will be in the same ballpark. Oh, and then we have to click away. Okay, and now let's play it again. So we want to be paying attention to these meters here. So we have this little bright green bar. That's our RMS power, and that's the first way to compare the loudness of the drop. So we see it's bouncing at this moment, but first we want to make sure where is our bouncing, around minus 24 decibels. So we want to make sure this track goes to minus 24. We don't need to listen to it now. We can just adjust the gain, and we see the bright gray one. So it's bouncing roughly at the same area. Let's listen to it now. Okay, now let's click away. Okay, similar. Now, if you want to be very precise about this, we can use a metering tool. So Ulean Loudest meter is the best thing to do. It's free, you can download it, and it's really precise. And we will be matching to a different kind of value, not RMS, which is actually okay, but perceived loudness, which is measured in loudness units full scale, called LUFS. So when we open this little loudness meter, we have this integrated LUFS. So let's listen to our full drop here. We need to listen to the whole. I'm gonna make it shorter for the video purpose, But let's listen to our own track first. Okay, so after listening the whole final drop of our own track, we see the LUFS stand about -24.8, -25. And then we want to load the same plugin onto our reference track. So let's quickly find it. Yielding loudest meter, and we can drop it just after the utility, so we are measuring the accurate, or even after the limiter. And now let's press button number 1 to switch to our reference track, and let's listen to the final drop here. So we already see that it's a bit quieter, so we can adjust the gain a little bit. So we give it a little equal chances to match around -25. Okay, now we're going a little bit too much. Okay, that's still louder. Let's go down a bit. Each time we go down, we have to press the reset button with the X. I guess that's roughly okay. We're gonna put -14.9. Reset. Okay, we see that it is roughly the same, -25.2. So we have the gain match, which is the most difficult thing to do basically in this whole setup. And now you can just play with your EQs. You can put a channel EQ, which is a good thing to actually play with the EQ. Or use your own favorite EQ, which you might have in some mastering tools or mixing tools. And the channel EQ looks like this. So you have low, mids, and highs, and you can play with it. Bump the lows. Switch to another song now, how it sounds like. And compare by ear. But we hear all the frequencies, you can't really focus on the lows or mids or highs separate. So how can we do that? There's a really quick way. That's one of the tricks I promised you at the beginning of the video. In order to hear all these frequencies and to be able to compare, we can drop one cool effect, which is called multiband compression. Let's quickly find it, or basically I'll show you where it is. It is in audio effects. It is in dynamics, and it's called multiband dynamics. And we drop it just basically before the metering plugin at the really end. We will not be changing any parameters. We will not be adding OTT here. We will not be touching any outputs or gains or compression. We just leave it as the default it is. But we will be using these 3 solo buttons just to compare the highs, mids, and lows. What I would recommend first is to kind of change that little value to 2 kilohertz. So we'll press 2000, and here to, let's say 250 hertz will be perfect as a low. And then we can just simply duplicate that effect. So let's press Command D or Control D and drag it to our reference track. There we have it. So first we're going to go to our reference track. We solo the lows. We go to the master. We find the same. We solo the lows, and let's play only lows on our reference track and on our track. And then we can compare and start tweaking. We can do the same with the mids. Here and here. Listen to the mids. I'm pressing number 1 just to switch quickly between our reference track and our own track. It is actually really quiet at the moment, but you can pump the volume up on your interface just to hear it more precisely. But don't play with any compression at this stage. You just want to do the EQing just to check the balance. And the same with highs, we can just switch it here and here as well, and listen to only the high frequencies. And to compare. That's one of the tricks. But what if you actually want to kind of see everything and be able to compare both of these at the same time? So there is a really cool trick just to be able to launch 2 metering plugins just to see a spectrum of your sound at the same time for 2 different tracks. So let's first go to master and let's load a free plugin, which is called Span from Voxengo. And that's going to allow us to see what we're actually doing. So let's drop this onto our master channel. That plugin looks like this. We can load one of them, but when we go here, we drop this on here as well. We want to drop it after the multi-bank dynamics for sure, and then we won't be able to see them both at the same time unless we do that little trick number 2. So we go to settings. We want to be in our plugin section, and this is the little auto hide plugin windows. If we switch it off, now we have a little mess on the screen, but we can see both of them at the same time, and we have a little indication here. That's on the master, that's on our reference track. So ideally my screen is not very big. I might try to kind of shrink that in size so it fits properly on the side of one another. Let's say we want to have the same scale, so I want them to be kind of the same height at least. Okay, and now when we play the song, you see both of them at the same time. So we can compare all the frequencies. You have everything here and here, and then you can on solo, you can kind of hide this a little bit on the side because it's on the way a little bit. That's why the second monitor would be just perfect to do that. And then we can just unsolo this and go here and also unsolo this, listen to the whole spectrum and see how it looks like now. So we can measure how high our low is going to go up to here. So this is our reference track. And the lows are pumping a little bit higher than here, so you might want to tweak the lows. We have a little dip here, so we might want to fill that in. And we have some resonant frequencies about this place. So we want to address that and to see how the highs are going. They are a bit more delicate here. We have some sharp peaks here, so we want to focus on that as well. Now, before you jump into Ableton to compare your song to your reference song, just make sure to subscribe to the channel for more music production content like this. And also that helps me to grow the channel a lot and helps pushing really premium content to you for free. But also there are some other ways to support the channel. You can use my affiliate links in the description box down below. You can buy me virtual coffee. I love coffee. And also you can buy my songs. I love my songs and you can love them too. Thanks. So I've told you the whole process is actually really quite simple and straightforward. But sometimes you will find yourself in a position that you want to compare 2 separate mixing or mastering chains just to make sure that one is better than the other, and you want to pick the best one, of course. And you ideally want to compare that also with one click. And I actually happen to have a really quick and straightforward way to do that as well. All in the video here, so click the video, watch it all, leave some comments, leave a like, subscribe to the channel. And thanks so much for watching. See you guys in the next video. Cheers.